Most people think a penny is just pocket change. But someone cent pennies are worth a fortune. Rare dates, minting errors, and especially old wheat pennies can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Before you toss that penny aside, check closely. You could be holding real treasure. The 1990 United States 1-cent penny is one of those coins that most people have seen countless times in their lives without ever giving it a second thought. To the average person, it's simply a copper-colored coin, part of the everyday rhythm of buying a cup of coffee, feeding a parking meter, or tossing into a jar at home. But to collectors, the 1990 penny tells a fascinating story that stretches across design, history, errors, and even the power of condition to transform something that looks ordinary into something highly valuable. While millions upon millions of these pennies were produced, certain examples stand out, and in auctions across the country, some have shocked onlookers by reaching values far beyond their humble 1-cent face value. By 1990, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 80 years. First introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. Victor David Brenner's design of Lincoln on the obverse had long since become iconic, a face that was both instantly recognizable and deeply meaningful to the American people. By 1990, the reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This meant that in 1990, every penny carried two images of Lincoln: his profile on the front and his seated statue inside the memorial on the back. It was a design familiar to every American, but familiarity doesn't always mean ordinary, especially when you take into account rare errors and pristine surviving examples. The obverse design shows Lincoln's right-facing portrait with "In God We Trust" along the top rim, Liberty on the left, and the date 1990 on the right. Just below the date appears the small mint mark, either D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Collectors quickly learn that while mint marks are often tiny details, they can make enormous differences in value. The reverse design shows the Lincoln Memorial with great detail, including the tiny seated statue of Lincoln visible between the columns when examined closely. The inscriptions "United States of America" arch across the top, "E Pluribus Unum" sits just above the memorial, and 1 cent is boldly displayed at the bottom point. One of the most important aspects of the 1990 penny is that it was struck during a period when the mint was producing billions of coins annually. Over 6.8 billion Lincoln cents were minted in 1990 between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, meaning the vast majority are extremely common and worth just face value. They were made of copper-plated zinc, a composition the mint had switched to in 1982 after decades of using mostly copper. This new composition made the coins lighter and cheaper to produce, but also more prone to corrosion and wear over time, which is why finding pristine examples is not always easy. Even though most 1990 pennies remain worth only a cent, the real intrigue begins when we talk about condition and errors. Collectors pay close attention to high-grade examples certified by grading services such as PCGS and NGC. Most coins from circulation are dinged, scratched, and worn, but those that have survived in mint state with full luster and no major contact marks are far rarer. Coins graded MS-67 or MS-68 red can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, some 1990 pennies graded at the highest levels have crossed the auction block for surprising prices, showing that condition alone can make an otherwise common coin into a valuable treasure. But what really sets the 1990 penny apart in collector conversations are the error coins. Minting errors, while rare, can completely change a coin's appeal. For example, double die obverse are among the most famous types of errors, where the lettering or date appears doubled due to a misalignment during the die-making process. While the 1990 penny doesn't have a famous double die like the 1955 or 1969 cents, there are still varieties that collectors look for. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank was not properly aligned, can bring significant premiums, often ranging from $50 to several $100s depending on how dramatic the error is. Another valuable error is the broad strike, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out larger than normal while still showing the full design. These typically sell for $30 to $100. Clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a mistake in cutting the blanks, also exist for 1990 pennies and can be worth $20 to $75 depending on the size and appearance. Even more dramatic are coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as a penny struck on a dime blank, which can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars due to their rarity and striking appearance. Auction history gives us the clearest picture of just how much a 1990 penny can be worth under the right circumstances. High-grade red specimens graded MS-68 have sold for more than $3,000 at major auctions. A particularly dramatic off-center error with a visible date sold for several $100s, and coins struck on wrong planchets have also reached prices well into the thousands. These numbers might sound astonishing when you remember we are talking about a coin that most people would ignore in their pocket change, but they highlight the magic of numismatics, where rarity, condition, and errors can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. When thinking about the 1990 penny, it's important to remember the context of the time. The late 1980s and early 1990s saw the mint producing coins at an unprecedented rate to meet the demands of the growing U.S. economy. Quality control was good, but with billions of coins being struck, mistakes inevitably slipped through, and these mistakes are what collectors cherish today. They also mark the era of the copper-plated zinc cent, which was still relatively new at the time, and which continues to be controversial among collectors who prefer the older, heavier, mostly copper pennies. For collectors, the thrill of the 1990 penny lies in the hunt. Most of these coins are worth just a cent, but hidden among the billions are rare gems, either in perfect condition or with fascinating errors, that can bring hundreds, thousands, or even more. It's a perfect example of why so many people are drawn to coin collecting. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes the smallest details can turn a simple coin into a remarkable discovery. So, the next time you come across a 1990 penny, don't just toss it aside. Look carefully at its surfaces, check the strike, and pay attention to the date and mint mark. Who knows? You might just be holding on to a coin that looks like any other cent but is actually worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Auction houses have already proven that the right 1990 penny, whether because of pristine preservation or a striking error, can sell for jaw-dropping amounts, far beyond what anyone would expect from a humble cent. The 2000 United States 1-cent penny may seem like one of the most ordinary coins in your pocket, but like many modern pieces of American currency, it carries a rich story, subtle design details, and hidden surprises that can make it worth far more than its face value. At first glance, it is just a penny, 1 cent that in today's economy does not stretch very far. But for coin collectors and numismatists, the 2000 penny can hold secrets in its errors, its pristine high-grade examples, and its place in the long-running Lincoln cent series. While billions were struck, and most are only worth a cent, the rare few can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their rarity and condition. The obverse of the 2000 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor the centennial of the president's birth. By the year 2000, Lincoln had been on the U.S. penny for over 90 years, longer than any other figure on American coinage. The design is instantly recognizable, showing Lincoln's right-facing profile with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," along the top edge, "Liberty" to the left, and the date, 2000, to the right. Just below the date, a small mint mark indicates where the coin was struck. No mint mark for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco proof coins. Brenner's initials VDB, which were famously controversial when first placed in large letters on the coin in 1909, appear subtly beneath Lincoln's shoulder. The reverse design in 2000 continued to display the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparro in 1959 for the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. At the center is the Lincoln Memorial, carefully detailed so that, under magnification, a tiny seated statue of Lincoln is visible between the central columns. Above the memorial arcs the inscription United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum just beneath. The denomination 1 cent stretches across the bottom. This design, which ran from 1959 through 2008, is familiar to nearly everyone in America, but each coin carries its own small story of mintage, circulation, and survival. BY 2000. The Lincoln cent had long since changed from its original bronze composition to a copper-plated zinc core. Since 1982, the penny has been struck from 97.5% zinc with a thin layer of pure copper to retain its traditional appearance. As a result, the 2000 cent weighs 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter, with a plain edge. This change in composition was necessary due to rising copper prices, which made it impractical to continue minting pennies mostly from copper. The result is a coin that looks traditional but behaves differently, sometimes suffering from issues like bubbling on the surface due to the copper plating separating from the zinc cord in terms of production. The year 2000 saw enormous mintages. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 5.5 billion Lincoln cents, while Denver produced over 8.7 billion. On top of that, San Francisco created millions of proof coins for collectors. With such staggering numbers, most 2000 pennies remain worth only face value. However, what makes certain examples stand out are their condition and their errors. High-grade coins are one area where value can skyrocket. Most pennies from 2000 entered circulation immediately, picking up scratches, dullness, and wear. But a small number were saved in mint rolls or sets and remain in pristine condition. When graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, these coins can bring surprising sums. A 2000 Lincoln cent graded MS-68, for example, has sold for several $100s. Even more common mint state grades like MS-66 or MS-67 can bring premiums when they are particularly lustrous and well-struck. Proof coins from San Francisco are especially collectible in PR69 or PR70 deep cameo condition, with flawless mirror-like fields and frosted devices. Errors, however, are where the 2000 penny becomes truly exciting. The most famous error of this year is the wide AM variety found on some Philadelphia minted coins. On standard 2000 pennies, the letters A and M in America on the reverse nearly touch. But in the rare wide AM variety, the A and M are spaced farther apart. A design originally intended for proof coins but mistakenly used on some circulation strikes. Collectors eagerly hunt for these coins, and depending on condition, a wide AM 2000 penny can sell for hundreds of dollars. In mint state condition, they have sold for over $500, making this one of the most valuable varieties of the modern penny. Other errors include off-center strikes, where the design is shifted, leaving part of the coin blank, broad strikes, which occur when the coin is struck without the retaining collar, and double dies, where elements like the date or lettering appear doubled. These errors are rare and often dramatic, catching the eye immediately. For example, a 2000 penny struck 50% off-center with the date visible could easily sell for several $100s. Wrong planchet errors, where the penny is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, are even more spectacular, with some examples selling for thousands at auction. Auction records confirm just how sought after these coins can be. A high-grade 2000 wide AM Lincoln cent sold for more than $600, while pristine proof examples from San Francisco in PR70 deep cameo have brought several $100s each. Unique mint errors, especially off-center strikes and wrong planchet pieces, have reached into the thousands. These results prove that even in an era of mass production, rarity still emerges and collectors are willing to pay for it. Beyond its market value, the 2000 penny also represents a moment in American life. Entering the new millennium, people were preparing for the future, yet the humble penny remained unchanged, still carrying Lincoln's image, still circulating in the billions, still anchoring the lowest denomination of U.S. coinage. To many, it seemed outdated even then, yet it continued to play a role in everyday commerce. Today, with ongoing debates about whether the penny should be retired due to its low purchasing power, coins like the 2000 cent may one day serve as reminders of an era when the penny was still an essential part of daily life. For collectors, the 2000 Lincoln cent offers both accessibility and challenge. It is easy to find in circulation, easy to begin collecting, but difficult to track down in its rarest forms. The wide AM variety has become a modern treasure hunt, while pristine high-grade examples test the patience and sharp eyes of collectors searching through rolls. Error coins from this year add even more excitement, turning an ordinary penny into a piece of history worth far more than anyone might expect. So the next time you spot a 2000 penny in your change, take a closer look. Examine the America spacing on the reverse to see if you might have a wide AM. Check the coin for sharpness, shine, or unusual features. That penny in your hand could be worth much more than 1 cent. It could be a collector's gem, a rare mistake, or even a coin destined for auction glory. And that's the beauty of numismatics. The thrill of discovery hidden in the most ordinary places. The 2010 United States 1-cent penny is one of those coins that at first glance looks like just another modern Lincoln cent, the kind of coin you see and change every single day without giving it a second thought. But for collectors, 2010 marked an important continuation of a new chapter in the Lincoln cent series. A chapter that was only just beginning the year before when the reverse design shifted away from the wheat ears and the memorial to something fresh and modern. The 2010 penny not only carries the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, but also features the shield reverse that would become a long-running design for decades to come. And as with so many coins, minting errors, high-grade survivors, and rare versions from this year make the 2010 cent far more than its tiny 1-cent face value. To start with, let's look at the design. On the obverse, the 2010 penny keeps the portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, the same portrait that first appeared on the cent in 1909 to celebrate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. It remains one of the most enduring coin portraits in U.S. history. Around the rim are the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the year 2010. Just below the date you'll find the mint mark, indicating whether the coin was struck at Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. The reverse is where things changed dramatically beginning in 2010. After the 4 commemorative designs of 2009 honoring Lincoln's life, the mint unveiled the new shield reverse created by artist Lyndall Bass and engraved by Joseph Mena. The design shows a Union shield with 13 vertical stripes, representing the original colonies, joined under a horizontal bar with the motto E Pluribus Unum. Across the bar is a scroll bearing the inscription 1 cent, and above the shield are the words United States of America. This design symbolizes Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War and became the permanent reverse for the Lincoln cent starting in 2010. In terms of mintage, the 2010 penny was produced in enormous numbers, as is typical for modern cents. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 2 billion coins, while Denver produced more than 2.4 billion. The San Francisco Mint struck over 1.7 million proof coins in copper-plated zinc, and more than 1.6 million proof coins in copper alloy for collectors. With numbers this high, it's clear that most 2010 cents are common and worth only face value in circulation. But rarity and value come into play when you look at condition and errors. For collectors, pristine coins graded MS67 or higher are always the goal. While most 2010 pennies are covered in contact marks from bagging and circulation, a small number survive in near-perfect condition. An MS67 red 2010 cent can sell for $100 to $250 depending on demand, while MS68 examples are even scarcer and have sold for upwards of $1,000 at auction. Proof coins in perfect PR70 deep cameo condition also command strong prices, sometimes reaching $150 to $300 depending on the market. The real excitement for many collectors, however, lies in error coins. The 2010 penny has produced a number of fascinating minting errors that can transform a coin's value dramatically. One of the most common and collectible is the doubled die. These are coins where parts of the design appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Some 2010 pennies show doubling on the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, and these can fetch anywhere from $50 to several $100s depending on the strength of the doubling. Off-center strikes are another desirable error. These occur when the blank planchet is not properly centered in the press, leaving part of the design missing and a blank crescent of metal visible. A minor off-center error might bring $50, but dramatic examples where 50% or more of the design is missing, while still showing the date, can bring $200 or more. Broad strikes are also known for the 2010 cent, where the coin spreads out larger than normal because it wasn't struck within the retaining collar. These errors usually sell for $30 to $100. Then there are double strikes, where the coin is struck twice, resulting in overlapping or rotated images. These dramatic errors are highly collectible, with values ranging from $100 to $400 depending on severity. Perhaps the most valuable errors are those struck on the wrong planchet. A 2010 cent mistakenly struck on a dime or nickel planchet would be extraordinarily rare, and examples like these have sold for thousands of dollars at major auctions. Even coins struck on foreign blanks, though very rare, would bring similar prices due to their uniqueness. Auction records tell the story of how valuable a 2010 cent can be. A 2010 D penny graded MS68 red by PCGS sold for over $1,500 at auction, proving that even a coin minted by the billions can be incredibly valuable if it survives in flawless condition. Proof coins graded PR70 Deep Cameo have also sold for $300 or more, particularly when certified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. Error coins from this year, especially dramatic off-centers and double strikes, have brought $200 to $500, while rare wrong planchet examples have soared well beyond $5,000. What makes the 2010 penny so interesting is that it represents both the continuation of a century-old series and the beginning of a new era. It links back to Victor David Brenner's 1909 portrait of Lincoln while introducing a new reverse that emphasizes unity and national strength. And at the same time, it carries the unpredictability of minting errors and the thrill of finding a rare gem among billions of common coins. For collectors, that thrill is what keeps the hunt alive. You never know when a jar of change, a roll of cents from the bank, or even your pocket money might hide a coin that looks ordinary but is actually extraordinary. The 2010 penny is a reminder that even the most modern coins can hold surprises. It might be a flawless example that grades MS68 and sells for over $1,000, a proof coin with perfect cameo contrast worth hundreds, or a dramatic mint error that brings thousands at auction. The 2010 1-cent penny is more than just a coin. It's a piece of history honoring Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of unity in its shield design, and a treasure waiting to be discovered for those who take the time to look closer. So the next time you see a 2010 penny, don't just pass it along as small change. Hold it up to the light, look carefully at the details, and remember, among the billions of ordinary coins, there are always the rare ones, the valuable ones, the coins that tell a story far bigger than their face value.